Alright, what's going on, guys? The past few months have been flooded with a lot of different news, a lot of stories pertaining to FromSoftware and Elden Ring, particularly on the business side. And if you've been keeping up with the videos here on the channel, then you would know that FromSoftware has been undergoing a lot of changes to set up a vastly different future for them as a business. And of course, that means the games we're going to be getting from them are almost definitely going to be following suit as well. Now, if you're a dedicated viewer and you've been keeping up with the stories we've been talking about, we're going to be diving into the Hidetaka financial report for the fiscal year of 2022. And a lot of this is going to be familiar for you, but now we have the receipts and the proof of exactly what kind of direction FromSoftware is going to be taking. And we're going to break down all of that right now. But of course, if you appreciate updates like this and staying on top of all the news around FromSoftware and Elden Ring, then definitely do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, because there's going to be a lot to look forward to. But now let's get into it. In order to properly talk about this and explain exactly what's going on, we need to go back and recover some of the context, because it's like one big puzzle and we're getting a little piece of it every few weeks. And on its own, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense. Now, you guys might remember a video I made breaking down the news of a deal between Kadokawa and the Chinese gaming mega company Tencent. Now, Tencent is arguably the biggest company in all of gaming, and they have hands in pretty much everything going on in the games industry, from the biggest AAA games you can think of to the tiniest mobile game you've probably never even played. And unfortunately, they don't have the best reputation, and that had a lot of people scared. But there was a lot of speculation going on about why this deal would happen, what the purpose of it was, and what FromSoftware stands to gain through this acquisition. But now we know, because today Hidetaka published their financial report for the fiscal year of 2022, and there's quite a bit to unpack here. So we'll start with the very business-heavy jargon, and then break it down in ways that are easier to understand. Hidetaka Corporation's summary of financial results for the quarter 2 extended September 30th, 2022. Business combinations. Transactions involving entities under common control, consolidated subsidiaries, capital increase through third-party allotment of shares. Overview of transaction, constituent enterprise and its businesses, constituent enterprise FromSoftware Incorporated. Business, planning, development, and sale of game software, planning and development of content on the internet. Date of business combination, September 7th, 2022. If you guys remember, that was the day the news first broke that this acquisition was happening. But back then, we didn't have any details about it whatsoever, and they're about to go really in depth. Legal form of business combination, capital increase through a private placement where the subscribers are third parties other than the company and its subsidiaries. Name of the company after business combination, no change. They're still going to be called FromSoftware. Other matters concerning the transaction overview. Following the capital increase through a private placement, the group will actively invest in developing more game intellectual property that is strong and in strengthening its ability to create and develop game intellectual property. The group aims to establish a framework that enables the expansion of the scope of its own publishing business in the global market, which is seeing rapid growth. The capital increase through a private placement has changed the company's stake from 100% before the capital increase to 69.7%. And here's the exact split of the shares of ownership. Hidetaka retains 69.7%, Tencent now holds 16%, and Sony has 14% of shares in FromSoftware. Now, when this news came out, like I said, there was a lot of speculation about what it would be for. We had a party of people thinking that FromSoftware was going to be ruined, Tencent was going to start making them add microtransactions to their games, which was a realistic possibility. Personally, I was thinking this was just a case of give money to get money, and that Tencent just wanted a little piece of that pie from Elden Ring success, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But Hidetaka actually went on to give us the exact details about what each company is seeking to get from their deal. However, before we dive into that, I want to talk about a single line out of that paragraph that's actually a huge deal. The group aims to establish a framework that enables the expansion of the scope of its own publishing business in the global market, which is seeing rapid growth. So this confirms that FromSoftware is going to be their own publisher, which was a theory that some people had, but we didn't actually know if this was going to be the case or not. Now, for those of you that don't know what a publisher is, a publisher's job is to help a game studio get money, market, and sell the games that they make. They're there so that the company can focus on making the games and not have to worry about everything else. And FromSoftware has worked with a lot of publishers in the past, most commonly Bandai Namco, who were the publishers of the Dark Souls games and Elden Ring. Sony was the publisher for Bloodborne, and then Activision for Sekiro. So it seems like FromSoftware is going to be trying trying to handle everything on their own, which is going to allow them much more creative freedom to make the games they want to make when they want to make it, and do with those games that they have made whatever they want. Now obviously that is going to increase their workload by a lot, but as we've talked about several times here on the channel, FromSoftware has been busy recently hiring a ton of new hands for the team. Throughout the month of October they were holding several different events, Q&As and interviews, or pretty much any job title you can think of. So yes, while becoming their own publisher is going to make them a lot more busy, they are expanding the team substantially to accommodate for that. But we've covered those details several times, so I'm not going to go super in depth on what exactly that is right now. But let's pop back to the Sony and Tencent deal for a minute. In the report, Kadokawa explains exactly how Tencent and Sony respectively are going to view their partnership in a much more easy to understand way. Progress in midterm plan 3 capital alliances between FromSoftware and Tencent Group and Sony Interactive Entertainment. And they have 3 sections listed: IP creation and development, IP rollout, and continuous growth and profitability improvement. In the IP creation and development section, they have strengthening the ability to create IP in games and creating games using IP in publication and anime. And now in enhancements through financing, we see FromSoftware will actively invest in game IP development, which is obvious. That just means they're going to make more games. They say establishing a framework that allows an expansion of the scope of the company's own publishing in the global market, which is what we just talked about. And at the bottom it says enhancements through collaboration with allottees, promoting the expansion of IP in games, and expanding the user base by strengthening the media mix strategy in the global market. Now, if I understand that correctly, what that means is they're going to be making a variety of games and using different forms of multimedia to expand interest outside of Japan, which is something we'll talk about more in a minute. But over on the right we get the specifics. FromSoftware will explore the capabilities to create and develop world's leading console game IPs. Tencent has the capabilities to develop and deploy network technologies, including mobile game technologies in the global market, including China. And Sony has the capabilities to deploy IP in games, film, and various other media in the world market. Now, I hate to admit it, but it definitely sounds like Tencent is interested in creating mobile games by FromSoftware. And if you guys have seen some of the mobile games that come out of Tencent, they have a wide variety, but they almost always involve egregious microtransactions. And that definitely concerns me quite a bit. But as for Sony helping FromSoftware explore more multimedia, we actually get some pretty good details. Now, Kadokawa is one of the biggest players in the anime industry, so I definitely imagine we're going to get some FromSoftware involvement in that in the future. But here they talk about improving the quality and quantity of IP in new games, each group company demonstrating their originality and strengthening human resources at the production system. And the examples they give are Elden Ring and Sekiro. But you can see over on the right there, they talk about the Elden Ring manga and the Sekiro OSTs that they produced as examples of kinds of multimedia that have helped them expand their IPs. And 2 of the goals of that are expanding the media mix into the publication and video businesses and extending the life of IPs. Now, one thing I've been trying to communicate to you guys in videos that people still don't seem to understand is that even though these are primarily single-player games, they want them to have longevity because it directly impacts the business. They're not live service games, but they want them to be talked about as much as live service games. And a great way to do that is through multimedia. I mean, look at Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk Edgerunners took a game that was seen as dead and completely restored the life to it. So does this mean we could be getting an Elden Ring anime or some kind of FromSoftware IP anime? So does this mean we're going to be getting an Elden Ring anime or some kind of FromSoftware IP TV show? I think that's definitely a possibility they're considering. FromSoftware is evolving, and if this communicates anything, it should tell you that FromSoftware is going to be very, very busy, and there's always going to be something going on regarding their IPs moving forward. I can understand how some people might be a little bit skeptical of that and hope they don't lose their integrity in the process. Personally, it has me excited though. With all the new hands in FromSoftware and the money coming in, I think it's safe to say that we're going to be getting more games more often, and multimedia to go along with it. In Miyazaki's own words, we're going to see a different color of FromSoftware going forward, and I think this financial report solidifies that. But to end off the video, I want to show you why everybody is so interested in getting a piece of FromSoftware right now. Elden Ring sales were astronomical. During the first 6 months, in addition to the publication business and video business, revenue related to overseas shipments and so forth of the record-breaking blockbuster game Elden Ring greatly contributed to Kadokawa's sales. You can see they're up 66% year over year. So you can see why Kadokawa is so serious about taking FromSoftware to the next level, because this kind of breakout success is rare, and when it happens, it should definitely be capitalized upon. But let me know what you guys think about all of this. There's a lot to unpack here, and it has me really interested in the future. It's going to be really awesome to see how this plays out. And I think within a year or 2 years, FromSoftware is going to be almost unrecognizable. Hopefully in a good way. But let me know what you guys think about all that down in the comments below. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you in the next one.